Hello, and welcome to this Ministry of Testing partner webinar with our amazing partner, Xray. I hope you're all enjoying the new way that we're streaming. Hi to all of those on LinkedIn and YouTube. It's nice to see you here. So there's the chat on LinkedIn and YouTube, so we would absolutely love to hear from you. So first off, let me know where you're all dialing in from even, because I absolutely love seeing testers all over the world. So before we get started with the webinar, I'd just love to let you know about some other awesome things coming up in the world of Ministry of Testing. First off, of course, we're blasting off to the testing planet, where we're going to be focusing on tools. And I forgot, it's next week. So it's going to be really awesome hearing about tools that the community are using. We've started using Bruno at work, which we learned about from the Ministry of Testing Club, and we absolutely love it. So if you want a tool that you want to share with the community, you can record a 4-minute highlight video, because we'd absolutely love to hear from you. And, you know, this is the way that we find out about new and cool tools. So make sure to share those. The events page on ministryoftesting.com, it also has all the local meetups as well. So check it out, because there might be a real life meetup near you. But that's enough about future events now. Let's get on to the now. So hi there, my name is Gwen Diagram. I'm from Ilkley in the UK, and I am your host today. I am so pleased to have the marvelous Sergio Freire from, oh no, I've forgotten how to say it already, Aveiro in Portugal, and he is one of my absolute favourite humans to see. So, Sergio, are you there?
Yes, I am, Gwen. Happy to
Excellent.
see you guys. always with a lovely smile.
It's always so nice to see you. How are you? Are you good?
Yeah, all good. So you mentioned my hometown, Aveiro. Yeah, we call it Aveiro, São
Yes.
Paulo. And I don't do like free marketing for the mayor, but always welcome to visit.
Thank you. It looks like, yeah, it always looks so pretty. I need to get over there at some point. I think there's always loads of good meetups going on in Portugal as well. I've heard there's a really good DevOps scene as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially around
No.
the Lisbon and Porto.
Nice, nice. So I had a question to ask you, because with the whole theme of like Ministry of Testing and the testing planet, and you love space, so I wanted to know. Oh, you've got a space t-shirt on. That's really cool. Very in theme. So, what is it that you love about space?
Always loved the space since I was a kid. I even tried to make my own gadget to communicate with aliens. Well, I was a kid, you know. I was
Did it
able to.
work?
I was able to listen someone's telephone with it by mistake. By mistake.
That's cool.
But I love the space. Well, because I was like the unknown. Trying to understand what's out there, and I think that kind of topic also resembles a bit with the topic that we have for today about what's out there when what's out there in our products. But in the space, I always think for myself, are we really alone, or are we just a needle in all of this world? So always
That,
questions after questions.
that's really cool. Thank you. So, I'll stop asking you questions, because I can ask questions forever. Well, before I pass over to you, I need to remind everyone to ask questions in Slido. So there's the QR code at the side, or you can just jump on slido.com, and we're going to be asking questions to Sergio at the end. So make sure you get those questions in. And now I'll pass over to you. I'm really excited to hear what you've got to say today. So thank you.
Thank you, Gwen. I became aware that you also saw the Endeavor in LA, I think, right?
Yes, yes. So I saw the Endeavour take off when I was a kid, and at the Science Museum in LA, they've got the Endeavour. You've seen the Endeavour too, haven't you?
Only they're not really flying, all in the museum, but it was really amazing. I think
Nice.
that
Deanna? Ah, yes!
I was happy. I was actually flying, as you can see. I just
That's
found it
amazing.
before the our session today. I was looking for some beautiful photo of mine. I didn't find any, and then I found this one.
It's a good one. Yeah, I got like Endeavour earrings as well when I was over there. Like, yeah, I used to absolutely love it. So yeah, sweet. Okay, well, I'll pass over to you now.
Time to work. So let me share my screen. Thank you so much, Gwen. And let's see if you can see it. I hope so.
Getting there?
Okay.
Yeah,
You see all my amazing count of
books.
tabs that I have. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I have that side. Cover bookstore. It's an amazing side that I've done. So I was thinking, shall we start with some of theory behind this topic, or should we start right from exploring our solution? So I actually changed what I wanted to do. So I will start by doing the hands-on exploration, and in order to assist my work, I'll be using a tool. So today's webinar is about human-centric exploratory testing. But as we'll see ahead, we can and we should use tools where appropriate to help us, so we can focus our time actually exploring the products. So in our sample project that we have here, target website, the cover bookstore, there are a set of categories with some books, right? So if you want to actually check it out, just don't mess too much with it, because it's just a site for us to test. Let me share here, like, let me see if you can see this. Yeah. Okay, so that's the URL, cover hyphen bookstore.unrender.com. And then you have also there a link for what I call, well, what we call the Xray Exploratory App, which is a desktop app made by the Xray team that can assist us on doing exploratory testing. Okay, so just a quick heads up on that. Um, there's a place where you can go. At hand, we can share this URL so you can have a look at it in more depth. But we have made recently a new version of our desktop application that can help us taking notes and take also like screenshots and report that back to Jira. And now this the latest version also supports like cloud storage, so we can actually log in to a website after you sign up here for a free account. And after you sign in, just to give you a quick heads up on this, you have like personal space where you can create your exploratory testing sessions. And also you have like a shared team account where you can share sessions with other team members. I'll I'll create a session to explore our website, and I can actually ask you if you want me to test the search functionality or the ability to order books online using the shopping cart. As you can see here, I have here my usual sprint in Jira, where I track my usually my stories and my tasks. I have two stories, one for the search functionality and another one for the ordering process. And just let me know in the comments if you want me to test the search or the ad, and I'll pick one of those. So let's see. Um, when do we have any answer?
Yeah, search.
Okay, cool. I hope that works. So what I've done is actually, I went here already, so I'm already logged in, and I'm logged in on the exploratory testing website, and I decided to create my first session right from from the what we call the web console, the website, right? And whenever I do that, it opens me the desktop application. So we have a desktop application for Windows and another one, a similar one for Mac that integrates with our cloud infrastructure. So what I'm doing here is I will do exploratory test for search, right? And whenever I do that, I can actually decide whether I want to save it like in my personal space or in my shared space. I'll use the shared space, and I have pre-configured my desktop application to. That's my wife coming, and I've pre-configured my web application to connect to a Jira instance that I have. And let me report this back to the bookstore, right? So the project that I have in Jira, if you remember, it's the bookstore where I manage my user stories, and I have the book 210, which is a user story for searching. So if I open back here my desktop application, I will say that I want to create a new session, and it will ask me, let me just switch back here. It asks me like some specific attributes, like the name of the test that I aim to create. In this case, since I have this also integrated with Jira, I can use this integrated with Jira or without integration with Jira. In this case, I've pre-configured this to use also Jira because Jira is the most common issue tracker so far. So I will say that I want an exploratory search function test for the search. And I can say that this is going to be an exploratory test. I can fill out a bunch of information, and I can also define here a charter. So in exploratory testing, usually we have like a scope for our testing, right? So we have, we can have something like explore area feature using whatever resources or restrictions to discover information, some sort of information. So what I'll do, I'll use this kind of format. I'll talk a bit more about it later on. To explore the search feature in the top menu using different keywords related to books to discover problems with usability, for example. And I can associate this to my existing user story that I have in Jira. Like, as a user, I can search for books in the website. Okay, so this is all about pre-configuring my session before I actually start it. I can start it. I can create the related assets on Xray side, and then this will ask me, the Xray Exploratory App will ask me if I'm to record like one screen or application. I can record like the screen, like this one that we are seeing here. In case I want to take like screenshots or even record a video. So whenever I'm actually starting this exploratory test session, this is starting accounting design. There are some entities that were created on Jira side, on TestRay side. We'll see that later on. But I can start my exploratory testing session like this, right? I can search, okay, the Tower of Nero by Rick Riordan. Okay, let me go back and search for Rick. Okay, seems to be working, right? Let me search for thief. Right, so nothing here. relevant so far to report. I can, if I want, I can take like a text note, like searching by a comment, searching by author seems fine, and also by word in the title, right? Okay, that's a good thing, right? But we can keep searching. I'm hitting enter right here. It seems that partial word search doesn't work. So what I can do is actually take a screenshot and I'm using two screens, so sometimes I have to pick this. And I can crop what I want, the information that I want to store, and saying that, okay, apply. Okay, let me put here like a visual note saying that, yeah, here, and partial search by doesn't work using feed searching for. Okay, I can do this like take just a screenshot like that, right? And I keep iterating on that. Let me clear this stuff and hit enter. It seems that clearing the search doesn't actually clear the stuff here and the results. And so I can actually take a screenshot, right? Another one, and say, oh, let me crop this. Okay, apply. And I can say that this is actually going to be a defect, like a bug in Jira, right? So I can say add the defect, create defect. This will automatically fill out like the information in Jira side, like the project bookstore associated with a bug issue, and say whenever clearing the search input, it doesn't show all books. Let me create that. So I'm actually taking advantage of the tool, not just to report what I'm doing, but also to automatically report this information also to Jira, because most of our teams actually use Jira. So I could keep taking your like notes, like I don't, for example, it seems that tabs are not supported, so maybe a problem, a concern, switching using keyword to switch isn't fully supported. Okay, I'm just giving here a dummy example, not here but here. I will end my session, right? I can review in a timeline what I did. I can refine what I did, and then I can save my session, right? And this will be stored in our in your workspace, right? So if I come here into my, not here, you're seeing, let me refresh here. I save it to the team space. There's an exploratory test for search that is being stored here, and it's currently locked. Locked, it means that someone is actually still testing. So I cannot actually modify it. So what I'll do, I'll go back here to my exploratory app, and well, it's fine that I report this to my cloud storage, but I can also say, okay, but I want this to be linked with the information that I have on Jira side. So I can come here and say, okay, I consider this test to be this test run, the overall result of my session, mapping this kind of concepts from exploratory testing more to a scripted kind of testing process. I can say that my overall test session was, I consider it to be a failure, and I can submit that to Jira, right? And what this will do for you is take all those notes, that information from the timeline, the screenshot, and it will push that to Jira and connect that back to the user story that you have on Jira site. And that way you can share the information with the team members that are using Jira. So if I go there to Jira, you can see that this run has information about what I did, the comments that I did. It's linked to my user story. You can see the definition of my charter definition. They are like the screenshots. They are also here automatically uploaded, right? And if I go to you can see the defect, right? That was also created. And if I go to the user story, you can see that the user story is covered by this last test that I just created, exploratory test for the search. And it's currently marked as fail, and therefore the heuristic for coverage shows that our user story is not okay and it's not yet ready to be shipped because the exploratory test failed. But sometimes, let me close this, right? Sometimes you can be doing like what I did, and you can you can use the same charter or by another team member, or you can eventually continue the work, stop the work, and continue the work later on. So you can always come here and say, okay, I have this exploratory test for search. Let me continue that in the desktop application, and this will fetch the information that I have stored in the cloud infrastructure back to the desktop application, right? It gets that information. It knows that it's connected to a Jira instance. So you can review all of that in the desktop application, and you can resume the session and continue testing if you want from the place where you were at. Okay. I just took, let's say, screenshots and textual notes, but you can also record video if you want of the whole session and get that also stored. If you want also, you can also export this information to a PDF report that you can share that later on with the team, along with all the screenshots as attachments inside of that zip file that contains all this information. Okay, so in a nutshell, this is the Xray desktop application that can assist you while exploratory testing. That's the part where I show it, like like the main things that you can do with it. I didn't go exhaustively into all the features because I want to talk a bit more about the concepts behind exploratory testing and the difference, and also take this opportunity to learn and share the learnings that I've found throughout these years. So let me share my screen. Okay, so context. In order to explain exploratory testing and why it's really relevant, I would need to take a step back for a bit and explain a bit about what quality means and how it's shaped by humans. And well, humans are a needle, as I said, in space. And for each one of us, whenever we look at products and systems, quality depends on the eye of the beholder, depends on the stakeholder. And that means that quality is not the same for every single one of us, right? So we really need to find what's relevant because we as humans expect different things from our systems. And actually, what we expect from these systems, our expectations, it's not really the same today or in like 10 days or in 1 month. Right? And every single of us has like a different, works at a different speed, at a different pace. So our is a bit different. And that also shapes how we look at some quality aspects in our products. And the overall tolerance to friction, right, in products is also different. Uh, um, there was someone I cannot quote exactly who was it that mentioned that testing is about friction, and I also agree that testing is related with friction. And it's also important to understand that whenever we look at quality aspects, we need to understand that we have different backgrounds and we have different goals, and that shapes what we understand with quality in the products. So it's really hard, if we think for a bit, to make hard coded checks taking into account these considerations. And we as humans, whenever we look at information, right? Whenever we try to search for information, by the way, these images are from Unsplash. Um, we tr- we we search for information in different ways, and we as humans find so much things, right? Whenever, especially nowadays that we talk about AI and so many times, still humans are really the key because we are curious, we really like to learn, we are insatiable, right? We are also we have also other characteristics. We are also social, but we are also individuals, right? So we the way that we find the information takes into account our unique characteristics. And we always try to go a step further, right? We always try to learn more. We don't stick with information that is given by others, right? We this always dream big, and we uncover new worlds and new systems and new bugs, right? So in exploratory testing, that's what we do, right? We use our unique set of skills, our learning capabilities to go beyond. So in, a product is something that addresses a bunch of needs. In the end, these needs are implemented as features. These features that will be exercising the most diverse scenarios, the expected ones and the unexpected ones. We can predict some of these usage patterns, but we cannot predict everything, right? So there are many unknowns in our product, many things that we don't know. And whenever we start changing our products, we start having more features. Whenever we're starting changing the existing features, well, many more questions starting to arise, and we start losing confidence in our understanding about the product, right? So we don't know many times anymore exactly how the product works or how it should work. We don't know exactly the value of our product. It's a bit like if the product has kind of vanished away sometimes. So to bring back our understanding about the product, we need to perform testing to understand whether this whether the cake that is our product in the like on the photo on the right side, whether it tastes well, whether it really meets my demands and the demands of the different stakeholders. And we want to make sure whenever we are building products that um, they are actually considered, they really taste well for the different people that will be somehow using them. So we really need to deliver better products, but at the same time we want to do it faster, and we need to make sure that we not just only implement the right features, but that we implement them correctly. And for that, we need to have proper understanding about how the product works and about how should it work. We should have information, what I call actionable information. And for that, we need to really dive into the product, experiment the product, and getting information out of the product and of the users also using the product. And that requires not just one specific approach in testing, it requires different approaches and what I call omni testing. Other members of the community uh, call it just continuous testing, agile testing, or holistic testing, as Janet Gregory and Lisa Crispin mentioned. Whenever we think about what testing really means, um, there are different views on it, right? There are different ways of looking at it, and I like the first one from Camp Kainer from a long time ago that says that testing is an empirical technical investigation conducted to provide quality related information about a software product to a stakeholder. So investigation, right? There are other ways of framing it, but investigation for me is a key word. And actually, I came myself to my definition basically, and also on other definitions out there. And that's for me, testing is about having this target process of challenge something like a product, a website, or whatever system, and our understanding also about it, using a set of activities leveraged by specific human skills, assisted and augmented by tools. So testing is not really about the testing outcomes is not really about getting quality like or assuring quality, is about getting valuable information that we can use to provide a quality assessment. So the testing ultimate goal is in the end we want to obtain information, share that information, as I quickly shared, using tools, using conversations. Of course, conversation is really important. We can use the information that is stored in tools as just as a way to start the conversation. But in the end, we want to make changes in the positive way, changes that affect the quality perceived by stakeholders. We as humans, we as testers are unique, right? We have skills that make us unique, and we use a set of heuristics to help us check or validate if our systems are behaving in the proper way. We also use oracles to combine with the heuristics to understand if they are okay or they are not okay, let's say. There are a set of heuristics, and you can find many resources just around heuristics like this fallible experiments that you can do, that you can try, like small variations that you can do, for example, that sometimes are useful to find problems, and sometimes they don't find problems. But that's the idea of heuristics. They are quick wins for finding common problems. So our whenever we I think I miss here like some slides. How do I am on time? Okay. Our our product. If we look at our product in all the possible usages of our product, it's like we have like an infinite like of possible usages, including the bugs. And whenever we think about a specific use case, a specific test, it's just like a single dot in that lake, right? So we cannot really test all the possible combinations of our product should work, and it's simply impossible because we don't have the times or the resources. We always need to make some sort of choices, and in order to um, drive our decisions, we can use risks. And I remember Janet Gregory that mentions the always highlights risks as one important aspect, and I fully agree. It's we should have risks in mind whenever we are testing, and sometimes we stay in whatever in this zone that is like the called the management zone. If we frame our risks from in terms of knowledge and awareness, we can have these four zones, and one of them is the known knowns, the things that we know about the system. And for these things, for these behaviors, we can make expectations, we can make checks, we can make automated, what we usually, and in simple words, call automated tests in order to verify those expectations. But of course, there is much more than that. Um, we have the known unknowns. For example, we have like performance. We know that we should our system should behave good enough in terms of performance, but we don't know exactly how it behaves. So that's a known unknown, right? We also have things that we don't are totally unaware. That's unknown unknowns, and for that we need to find, let's say, tactics to get to discover them, and think about how people actually do it, like in space. There are also the unknown knowns, like our biases, right? That somehow shape our understanding about the product and what we consider to be like bugs or features in a product. So how can we move into more than the known zone? So whenever we look at risks and testing together, I like to use this diagram adapted from Column. Kudos to Column. I'm not sure if Column is around, but in this diagram you can see what I call like the ideal world in terms of a team developing a product and testing it, where people think in the team think that they know everything about the product, the system, and the context where it lives in. And if that was really the case, we could make like a ton of checks to check everything. And it means that we wouldn't have any risk whatsoever because we could tackle mitigate our risk with testing. But the truth thing, the reality is that we are more close to the unknown. We don't understand, are not aware about all the possible use cases and how the product works in all the possible scenarios. So many risks might lie towards the left side in this diagram, and the only way to expose them is through exploration. We can look at or we can use several tactics, and I think a bit about it, and look at what we do in science and also in space. So we can use like experimentation. The first one is about doing experiments and observe, and the second tactic is about using like a probe, like we do in space. Sometimes we send like a probe across the space, across the universe, and you use it to collect data and to observe and analyze it later on. In software testing, use monitoring and synthetic monitoring to do this. And the third thing is that we can actually do in order to uncover the unknowns is observation. And we can actually do together with experimentation and probing. Observation is about watching carefully. In other words, we observe what happens and what doesn't happen. We look at like unknown items, unknown patterns, unexpected behaviors, and this is really how we can find important things that are happening with a product. We can simply have those as expectations because we need to actually learn while things are happening. Okay, um, and I want to bring. I was confused a bit earlier because I want to bring a bit about the story about Xray, but not Xray, the tool, but actual about X-rays. And this is about a story about something that happened in the 19th century, and that would change the world dramatically and the medicine dramatically as we know it. And this is a story about Wilhelm Röntgen. I'm not sure if I spell it correctly. Wilhelm was a German scientist and physicist. He was doing some experiments with a near vacuum tube called the Crookes tube. He applied the high voltage onto the tube's electrodes, and besides the beam of electrons, also known as the cathode rays, he noticed that a screen near him was glowing. So somehow there was like an unknown radiation passing passing through the cardboard that he was using to protect the tube from visible light. He noted that he noted down that radiation with the X letter, and that became the moment of the discovery of the X-rays. And he was awarded the first Nobel Prize in physics and changed the medicine dramatically. And this is the first ray of a human that I want to share of. I think it was the human of the X-ray of his wife hand. So, do you think that this was really like a matter of luck? And I like these two quotes, one from Seneca and another one from Louis Pasteur. Seneca says that luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. Louis Pasteur mentions that in the fields of observation, chance favors only the prepared mind. I would only refine a bit that quote from Seneca and say that serendipity is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. I became more aware of what this word is actually something that I learned from Manet in the exploratory testing community several years ago. This word that is hard to spell, it's really important. It's about these lucky findings, right? We about finding information because we are continuous learning and continuous exploring. So uh, what I call the truth lake, and this is adapted from Ricard Edgren. Um, Remember that scenario, that circle that I mentioned before, like with all the possible uses about our product. Actually, if we think for a bit, all the possible uses of our product, they are really infinite, right? So this is like more an infinite lake. It also represents every possible bug. And um, if we just think about knowledge, the known knowns and the known unknowns, that rectangle in the middle is just a very small set about the whole truth. And only a bit of it touches what I call the important island, the important risks that we need to address. So, how do we actually cover, expose risks in this island, expose, like, say, the scenarios around those risks? Well, if you use just scripts with expected results, we always be testing around the knowledge, right? And that means that if we add more scripts, we want to increase our knowledge. That's like a consequence of it. On the other hand, if we try like random testing, only by luck we will hit things, use cases in that important island that expose risks. The solution is to actually explore the known wisely. So what we can do is increase the probability of serendipity of disliking findings, um, using what I call the knowledge backpack, using an environment that is like um, good or propitious to for errors. Explore with We can explore with perseverance, curiosity, and we should always be, like, say, iterating to actually learn. The knowledge backpack, what I call the knowledge backpack as an uncovery tool, and that's something that we have as humans, is that we have this understanding about the customer needs. And we can, of course, use like a set of the requirement specifications written somewhere, and we can also have understanding about risks. We can also try to understand what's happening around support. Of course, having a good understanding about all the different heuristics. There are a ton of heuristics and oracles and different techniques that we can use in testing. There are different test types, levels, approaches that we can have. All of that is knowledge that we can use to drive our testing in order to expose important risks. As Ken Kenner said, the idea is to use diverse half measures, lots of different points of view and approaches, techniques, even if no one strategy is performed completely. So if we are if we aim to just test around to our existing knowledge, we can use checks. But if we want to go beyond our knowledge, we really need to explore. If we think about this simple example, reading a book, how much, well, of course, we can learn a lot by reading a book, but the book is not always up to date, may not be always up to date. Um, and there can be a bias in that book. So there's can be we can like freshness. So if we just do this like once, of course we learn, uh, but it may not be enough. And the same applies, let's say, if we think like going from one place to another, like going from Porto to Lisbon to a DevOps conference. If we use like a highway, always the same highway, how much do we learn in that trip? Because if we do that trip multiple times, how much the information we'll actually learn about that trip, thinking just about that route. What about all these interesting places? I remember when I traveled with my wife, Actually, you find so many interesting places when we get in all those roads out of the highway. But it's also about how we handle like the tours, right? If you are just following the same path, there's a blocking, some kind of block in the route. If we are not able to go around it, we'll stay there and not move forward. So if we have, for example, say 100% scripts that are, oh, okay, what do it really means? Uh, it can tell you, can give you some sort of idea about the quality at some level about the system, but it doesn't tell nothing about unknowns, right? It doesn't tell anything about uncovered gaps. Also, are not aware about the original script intent. Sometimes I see people just implementing scripts just for the sake of implementing test scripts. We can have like 1 million of them, and they are not really tackling the risks and the things that matter to stakeholders. So what's the difference between typical scripted testing and exploratory testing? We can have in scripted testing a calculator, and we make two tests, 1 plus 0, 1 plus 2. We check for the output values, and that's about verification. But in exploratory testing, maybe we try 1 plus 2, we see that it's 3, then we think, let me try the other way around. Let me try 2 plus 1. Oh, it gives the same result. That's okay. Now let me go to 3 and take out the 2. Oh, I found out that the subtraction was not supported. So exploratory testing is about really exploring with intent to find discoveries, to make discoveries. The differences in terms of outcomes are also substantial. I'll say that in scripted testing, in a typical test cases, we are thinking about pass and fail scenario. So it's quite objective. But if we go to exploratory testing, it's more a subjective thing. So it's more we do more quality assessment, and we also provide some sort of information about whether we think that we went deeply in our testing or we just had an overview at high level. There's another thing. If we think about from a tester angle, where's the tester in these two different approaches? And well, in scripted testing, in the typical test cases, it's all about the script, right? The script is a driver, and the human is there more to make the initial scripts, and then it's all around the script. We execute the script, report for the script, we take metrics out of the script. But in exploratory testing, it's more about having understanding. It's about use a set of information and use that information to raise out questions, and that questions drive us on our test ideas, and we iterate to improve our understanding. So it's totally human-centric. Exploratory testing is an approach to testing that centers the person doing testing by emphasizing intuitive test design and execution with continuous learning, where the next test is influenced by learned lessons on previous tests. And I'm quoting Maret. There are different ways of looking at testing, but this I think is really a good definition, let's say. What happens is that we will use this model that I call the learning lollipop. If you like lollipops, this is a good model. And the idea is that we start with a question, we design some test idea, we execute, we analyze, we learn. And that drives us to our next question, and so on and so forth. So actually, our exploratory session takes us in the knowns, one idea from one idea to another test idea, and that way we eventually uncover important risks. we can use a set of exploratory testing skills, and these are just a few ones. And I would say that critical thinking, lateral thinking, being a good observer, being a good explorer, of course, also being good with tools, using tools to assist us, right? Finally, because we are pressured on time and to give some small bits for questions, we use charters to drive our testing. Use like this charter template I adapted from Mariette and Elizabeth Hendrickson. Explore area feature risk with using resource restrictions and heuristics to discover some sort of information. Gwen, I'm talking a lot,
Hi.
but I want to give you the time
Okay.
to ask me questions from the audience.
Awesome. Thank you. I loved all the references to community stuff in there. That was amazing. So, Deanna has said, quick fire through the questions. So, first one, Sergio, are you joining us at Test Bash Brighton 2024 in September?
Yes.
Excellent.
So far, it's a yes. That's
I'm
the
looking
plan.
forward to seeing you. Excellent. Okay, so next question is, we use GitHub as the place where we put notes on all of our work instead of Jira, so we test off PRs. How would we put our Xray session on GitHub?
Well, in that case, what you can do. So, but right now there's no specific integration with GitHub, but you can use them. You can just use them. Are you still seeing my screen? You can just
No.
store the information. No.
Ah, there we are. Now we are.
Okay. Okay. So we can use just a cloud storage on exploratory testing website to store the
Oh,
information
cool.
and put, let's say, links in the notes if you want to it. All the Jira integration that I showed is actually optional. I just showed because it's a common thing to have integration with Jira. But if you don't have Jira, you can simply use the integration with the storage in cloud uh, and put links to the GitHub issues that you may have. That's a comment
That's
for.
amazing. Thank you. So someone has asked, how can we use this to think about risk and test coverage?
How can we use this to think about risk and coverage? So that's a good question. Actually, two different questions. Coverage. Coverage. Coverage is also like an heuristic. There's no like 100% coverage. As I try to explain, how can we define, let's say, coverage from a functional standpoint whenever we can have like an infinite possible usage of our product. But if we are using, let's say, the integration with Jira, we can look at the user stories and see the exploratory tests connected to it. So we can see that coverage information here. And well, this is just an heuristic, right? So it tells you whether the story is covered by some test or not. It doesn't give you like a number, 20%, 30% coverage. Well, because as I was trying to explain, uh, that what does that number really represent? And I think though the other part of the question, Gwen, you have to remind me.
So
One,
how can we use this to think about risk?
well, risk. The tool itself doesn't provide, let's say, a specific uh, assistant on that. That's where we as humans use our backpack of knowledge. And it's really important that we increase our knowledge around not just testing but different tools that we can use. And if you want, if you are missing out, like if you ask me, okay, but I'm missing out more ideas. um, if you want, now that people are talking about that, using ChatGPT and things like that can give some sort of ideas. So just have in mind that those ideas that it gives you, like about risks, there are also heuristics. Lena is also they risk it. Card deck, which still Ministry of Testing still provides that, right? The slide deck about risks. I have one
I
here.
think they will.
Yeah, and so you can use
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
that's
Nice.
awesome. Uh, and we can use a bunch of heuristics to think about different risks. Um, there are a bunch of resources in the Ministry of Testing website if you are missing out some ideas. But once again, this tool, to be clear, is not going to do that work, the testing for you. It's just a tool to assist you on while you are testing. So power to the user, power to the tester, and that's where your value is really important, because you need to have all these kind of all of these skills, all these contests in order to make awesome testing.
Nice. So LinkedIn stopped the event. So what tips do you have to mix the human approach to then be more efficient with the use of tools?
Sorry, Gwen, I missed you for a bit.
So what tips do you have to mix the human approach to then be more efficient with the use of tools?
What? Sorry, what?
I don't know if I understand that question either, so let's skip that one.
So if the question is about how can these tools make you more efficient, um, the tool that I showed at start, it assists you on taking notes, on taking screenshots, so you don't have to do like tons of context switching. Use like a ton of different tools, so you can focus more around testing, because it's really important that we as testers focus much not on the bureaucratic part, but more on the investigation part. That was the definition from Cam Kainer. So it's all about the investigation, and I fully agree with that. So the more that you are able to automate some parts of the bureaucracy and sharing the information for the debriefing with the team, the better. But exploration, it has to be you, in my perspective, because we are unique, right?
Totally. I really like that answer. Like, you need your tools to be as frictionless as possible, otherwise you'll be distracted from the actual testing. Nice. Thank you. So the next question is, where do you see AI helping with human-centric exploratory testing? So you already mentioned this a little bit, didn't you? You can ask it about risks.
Yeah. So you can use AI, you can, if you want, ChatGPT, or whatever product you want. Just use your critical mindset whenever you are using. Don't take it like as uh, don't think that it's like a human giving answers, and that is all like all the feedback. It has like what they all these LLM solutions, they have what is like a context window. They have a limited set of information, but you can ask all this information that was learned by the large language models. You can ask this system to give you some sort of ideas about, if you have access to the code, you can ask you can use these tools to ask them like possible risks around the code that you are looking at. You can also ask the tools, and I have even some slide decks prepared on that. Maybe I should do a talk on that with some concrete examples of um, or asking like ChatGPT. And disclaimer, I don't have anything to do with ChatGPT, but you can ask like this to give me some sort of ideas about risks, and then you have to think about whether those risks make sense for your given context, because these tools won't give you that sort of information. But of course, AI in general terms or machine learning can be used to analyze patterns, for example, patterns, strange patterns in the logs, strange patterns in terms of usage, and uh, if the tool is able to find the strange things happening, it can give you some insights that you can use to decide whether those insights are valuable or not. So think about these solutions, AI in general, as a tool to assist you in whatever you do. Because in my perspective, we have to live with them, when you should try to use them in the best way. But it's not that they are going to replace all that we have learned, right? And that they will learn everything that we only know by communicating with the other stakeholders and the users, because these tools won't know about the real users, from the conversations that you can have with them. That's something that you only you can do. For example, just giving you like an example, but you can. I would say that using these tools for brainstorming can be a good thing especially for starters.
Nice. Thank you. And don't use the tools straight for your interviews. We can tell when we're interviewing you.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So you mentioned omni testing. What's omni testing?
Oh, that's a concept that I came up with a few years ago. I think 2000 and more or less around the pandemics. It's about looking at testing in a more broad perspective, looking at testing in a continuous way, looking at all the different angles about what testing means. Sometimes we are just people thinking, oh, we need to shift our testing to the hand, we need to shift our testing to the left. Now, for me, it's about a whole concern about quality that the whole team should have in place. So it requires people, engagement, communication, tooling, test automation, exploratory testing. It requires all of these things, and it's about, well, imagine we cannot really make a good meal. Like, you like to eat good desserts, Gwen?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's take that as an example. If you look at a dessert, right, a good dessert, if we look at quality, we cannot just look at thinking about making that awesome meal, as an awesome dessert at the end. We need to have quality as a whole team concern, because it's all about the whole experience that you get whenever you go to a place and have this incredible meal, or this incredible dessert. We need to think that quality has all these different angles, and we cannot tackle them just in a single point in time, in a very specific way. We need to look them in a very diverse way, but also a very continuous way.
Amazing. Thank you. So I think that's the last question. Sergio, absolute pleasure as always. So thank you very much.
Like,
I am really, hey, there we are. I am really looking forward to seeing you at Brighton. It's going to be so nice to see you again. It always makes me so happy to see you. And yeah,
likewise, when I really hope we see you there September, last week, 20th.
it's the 9th until the, oh, no, it's the 11th until the 13th. So
Ah,
yeah, yeah. So yeah, should be good. Sweet. Well, thank you everyone for joining. It's been absolutely amazing having you here. So this will be recorded. You'll find it on ministryoftesting.com. And yeah, thank you. Okay,
thank
goodbye.
you. Happy testing.
Happy testing. Excellent. Excellent.